Hello, Mrs. Hobbs. Here's a quick summary from everything we've worked on in our first couple lessons so far this year. One thing we had to refresh the other morning, and this was just from yesterday, all three of these videos, was the way that you allow your head and spine angle to release late in the through swing. And when we watch in this video, right around here, right, the ball's gone, impact has occurred. Right at this point, your spine should be straightening, you should be extending, and your neck, should be releasing, right? And you should be following your golf shot downrange with your eyes. However, you keep looking down towards that golf ball pretty much all the way into the finish on this swing here. And we can see how your back stays flexed, right? And your neck stays tilted downwards. And your eyes are still looking down at the golf ball, and this golf ball's flown well downrange at this point. And this just it restricts your turn, and it's not good for the healthier back. So, moving on to our face-on swing, right, if we watch, you swing back, come down, right, and there we go. Neck releases, spine starts to straighten. Much better for the healthier back, much better for the healthier neck, and it allows you to keep turning. It'll be more powerful. Okay, so going back here, one of the themes we've talked about so far this year is arm structure, and one of the things we have to do is we're just going to work on it a little bit at a time. So what we can see here in this video, right, there could be a little bit of cleaning up to do with the arm structure, right? We'd like to see that arm staying nice and straight, right? And this would, so on video, your backswing length, if your arm stayed straight, would end up looking something more like this. So part of the issue is, as we know, as this arm structure breaks down, it becomes harder to allow the club to swing down from the inside, and the area that we hit the ground becomes less and less predictable. And this is this is really important for you, right? Because as we watch your downswing, particularly your left knee, right? I know you've had a scope on your left knee. You mentioned that when we thought about working on weight forward, but I think there's some mobility issues with that left knee, so you have a hard time shifting your weight far enough forward. So what this ends up creating, and we kind of miss impact here, but this is pretty close. What this ends up creating is, if I were to redraw this line back down to impact, right, you don't end up with your hands don't end up very far forward of the golf ball at impact. Oh, there I go again, drawing extra lines. Okay, so coming back, right, just as a refresher, let's check out the ball position just on this swing with the 7-iron, right? And this plays into your tendencies as we watch this ball position creep back a little bit. By the end of the session, we had moved the position. We crept it back forward, more up in here with a 7-iron, just off the left side of your face. And you're always going to have the tendency to want to move it back, simply because, right, because your left knee gives you issues with shifting far enough forward, and your hands don't end up that much forward. It's easier to play the ball back because it rewards your tendencies. But for the sake of progress and getting better, we know that we want to play it more forward, so you have to practice getting forward and getting that ground in front of the golf ball. So rather than working on too much mechanical the other day in regards to this, right, we came kind of over here where we see all these divots, and we drew some lines on the ground. We did some line drills. Because of your restriction with your left knee, and the fact that you tend to not have the hands quite as far forward, I think the line drill is very important for you, just to self-organize everything, to work on taking just a nice shallow small divot in front of the golf ball. That way your contact, the quality of your contact, will become more consistent. You'll hit more solid golf shots. And you can learn how to hit that ground forward without having to think too much about mechanics, right? The only real thing we're worried about is some arm structure in the backswing, this bent left arm, and letting that club swing down freely, and you actually do a pretty good job of it here with that right shoulder being nice and low. So moving on to one more angle, right, this down the line angle, and this ties in, we spoke about this yesterday, how deep your hands go quickly in the backswing, right? This ties into the issue with the overbending of the left arm, because if my hands and my golf club reach their maximum depth, right, we look at how the golf club is, start over with that, right, so the golf club's back here, right, that's about its maximum, sorry, let me draw this line one more time. Golf club is back in here. Well, it's not quite its maximum depth behind you, but pretty close, right? It's the whole point is it's pretty far behind you early on in the backswing. And then in order to elevate it, you end up overbending the right arm, allowing it to move well up off the torso, which bends the left arm, right? We've talked about that quite a bit. The right arm overbending is what causes the left arm to bend. I don't want you trying to push your left arm out and keep it straight. It makes us do all sorts of funny stuff with our turn. We just want to bend the right arm a little bit less. And that, that excessive bend and raise and the momentum of the club swinging so far back and around ends up pushing you across the line. So then the club kind of has a long way to go to travel back down to this nice inside and behind position where we can hit draws from. But again, on this swing, you do a fairly good job of that. And this was just a practice swing that I took a video of. And this was actually a practice swing where you tried, right, in an ideal world, as we swung back, the club would kind of, whoops, let me delete this. Nope, not that. Delete this line. Kind of in an ideal world, as we swung back, the club would kind of swing back on plane, and then as your elbow started to bend, it would elevate. But your swing's well under the plane, and then very late raises up and then across the plane. But then, you're a pretty good golfer, so you move that thing pretty much back down to the plane in the downswing on this practice swing here. Alright, so I know this video was long, but this video kind of summarizes what we did over the course of 3.5 hours, what we've talked about and what we've been working on. Arm structure, right? That's kind of the first one. It's the only real backswing thing we're working on. And arm structure includes how bent this left arm might look, or how straight it might look on a face-on swing. It includes how much the right arm is bending and how much it's raising up off the torso. And then the only other real thing, the only in-swing, downswing thought that we've ever really talked about is getting you swinging, letting that club swing nice and aggressive, right? And doing the line drill, which we can see our divots over in here from some line drills, hitting that ground in front of the golf ball. All right, Mrs. Hobbs, if you have any questions, you please let me know. Thank you.